Alright guys, we are back in the game and I am recording with the true first person mod on, and as you can see here,
Surprised to see you here.
in first person I have
in the Imperial City
no shadows compared to someone else. I can't see my own body, and when I pull my sword and shield out it is looking like this. And when I hop on my horse, I'm immediately kicked to third person, and I have a shadow again, just like my horse. When I hop off my horse, I'm back to first person with no shadow whatsoever, and the game resumes, as it were. Which is a bit strange, because having no body feels really weird. Kind of breaks with the immersion here. But what I have installed right now is true first person. And I've hit the hotkey, which is by default plus. And as you can see now, from third person, I now zoomed to first person. My head has a nice little shadow there, showing off my helmet. And I have a body, as well as when I pull my shield up, you can see it. And when I make the attacks with my sword, you can still see that. And something very, very fantastic. When I hop on my horse, I'm in first person now, with a shadow, and able to ride my horse, which is sorely lacking in the base game, 100%. But some of you may have already noticed that my head is slightly offset. I'm a little bit to the left. If I hop off my horse, what's happening is, if I go to another third person, back to first person, this is the default first person. If I hit the plus button, I'm now back to vanilla. I have my toggle between these three things. I've noticed that with this mod installed, if you go from this third person view, you will be slightly offset to the left with the camera. Whereas if you go into this mod, hitting the toggle key from this further back third person view, and then you hit it, you will be lined up with the center of your body, which is fantastic. You will be able to see your helmet and head. These are all fantastic things that have been added to this mod. Mod Author has definitely updated this quite a bit. And as you can see here, my shield, it is lined up right in the middle, and I can attack. So one thing I would recommend, guys, is toggle into this with the extended third-person view out. And if you're going to try to get into third person after that, toggle the mod off and then cycle about. Yeah, this is a phenomenal mod. You can see my shadow all the way down there. In first person. How about that? Yeah, this is a great mod. A lot of the bugginess and strangeness of this mod has kind of fallen away now. We have visible heads and whatnot. So I wanted to go ahead and make an updated video covering this mod. There are a couple of new installation instructions involved with this mod, so I'm going to cover that, as well as there's some new configurations to go over as well. You guys might want to dive into the configurations yourself and offset a couple of things if you think that it needs to be slightly angled a different way or slightly moved to the left or right or up or down. You can toggle that, as well as a couple other miscellaneous things, including shadows and all sorts of other things.
Good
There's
evening,
actually a
sir.
lot in the configurations to cover. Last time I covered a few, but not a ton of the configurations. But yeah, we'll dive into that after we get done with installation, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and hop over to that right now. Alright, guys. I am on the TFP True First Person Camera mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And one last thing, guys, if you like this mod, please don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into how to get this thing up and running for you guys. So we do need to quickly talk about the requirements for this mod, and it does have a hard requirement of UE4 SS for Oblivion Remastered. You will need that mod installed in order for this mod to fully function. If you do not have that mod installed, this mod is not going to work. If you don't have that mod installed already, which, you know, you definitely should have that mod installed. But if you don't, I will leave a link in the description down below to my video covering how to get that thing installed and ready to go. And hopefully you guys can follow along with that before proceeding with the rest of this video. Okay, with the requirements out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into how to get this thing installed. So, when we go to the Files tab here, you can see 3 different files here, as well as an archive. We're going to ignore that for now. You can see these 3 different versions here. We have a Game Pass version, which I do not have the Game Pass version. I only have the Steam, but I assume it's essentially going to be the same, except for where these files are going to be going in your actual game. There's also, for you with the Game Pass version, there's a bit more of a detailed description here for installation. Okay, moving along. What we need to do, and this kind of breaks my heart a little bit, is Vortex is just not able to handle this right now. We're going to have to manually install this thing, which isn't the end of the world by any means whatsoever, but we will have to go through a couple of things in order to get this up and running and working. So we're going to go ahead and do a manual installation here. It's going to remind us we need UE4 SS for Oblivion Remastered. Again, follow the link in the description down below to get this downloaded and installed if you don't have it already. Alright, going to do a slow download, and I have a manual mods folder where I stash all these things. I'm going to go ahead and save the zip file there. And then we also want to get this optional file here, and I'll go over that in just a little bit, but we're going to do a manual install here and do a slow download as well. Save it to the same place. And then we need to open up that folder where we saved everything. And if I refresh this, we should see I have both of these here. I'm going to go ahead and extract the TFP camera. And we're going to go here to extract. And once it's been extracted, we no longer need the zip file, so we're going to go ahead and delete it. And then this optional shadow head by race, we'll go ahead and also extract that right now. And once we see that it is right there, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Okay, So let's start here with the TFP camera right here, and I have the Steam version. You will need to open up your game. If you don't know where your game is, it's wherever you have Steam installed. You will need to do Steam Apps Common Oblivion Remastered. That's where it's at. And from here, it's pretty easy to see. They kind of have the same folder structure from here on out. So if you go to Oblivion Remastered and then Binaries, we'll go over here and go Oblivion Remastered Binaries. Follow that Win64 folder, UE4SS, UE4SS, go to Mods, and you can see we have this folder TFP Camera. What we need to do is drag and drop the TFP camera over here. Okay, and that is it for that half of it. We need to then go back up here to this folder, Oblivion Remastered. And now that we're done with binaries, we need to go to Content. We've got Packs. Then we need to go to Logic Mods. And then all we have to do from here is drag and drop these 3 files on over. And voila! The mod itself is now officially installed. But there are a couple of caveats to this. So let's go back up to the folder where we got this downloaded to. And let's open up this optional shadow head by race. And we can open up this folder, and you can see we have 2 folders here, male and female. And this is because this optional file changes your head's shadow based off male and female of the different races. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that make this quite complicated to get to automatically detect what race and sex you chose when you created your character. So you do, for this mod, have to find which race you belong to in order to get that shadow to show up. Now, there is some caveats to this. There's the Imperial head, followed by the human heads. Okay? And as you can see, these 3 files here are the exact same named pack files that we just installed with the base mod. As you can see under Elf, it's the same thing as well, at least naming wise. So essentially, what these 3 files are going to do is replace the shadows of your character when you're in first person with that of a male Argonian, for instance. So unfortunately, you will probably need to adjust this on a per playthrough update, and if you're going to switch between your playthroughs, you're probably going to need to swap these 3 files out. So I highly recommend that this optional shadow head by race be stashed somewhere that you're quite familiar with. If you don't want to do this at all, the base mod already has these 3 files, and by default they are using the Imperial head, if I'm not mistaken. So you don't need this, but if, for instance, you're playing like a Khajiit or an Argonian, and you look at your head shadow, you're going to see a human's head instead, which could be a bit immersion breaking, which is exactly why this got made. It's also going to be the male Imperial head, so if you are a female, you may also want to change to one of these as well. All right, so that's just one little extra caveat to this mod here. We have a maybe a couple others. And this is with the configuration. So I'm going to open this up just so I can remember exactly where all of this is at. Binaries, Win64, UE4SS, mods, TFP camera, and then we have the enabled.txt, TFP state.txt, we have scripts. And we're going to want to open this main.lua. If I just open this, it's gonna get pulled up in Visual Studio Code because that is the software I use when I'm doing my day job of software development. But as you can see here, this is just basically a text file. You can see all of these different configurations that you can 100% change, as well as the functions that you really should not touch. We come down here, don't mess with any of this down here. You should just leave these functions 100% alone. You can see we've got helpers, persistent logic, things like that. Don't mess with any of these, but the things that you do want to mess with are up here in the configurables. And you can see all of these different things that are totally things you can change in order to get this mod to get tweaked a little bit more to your liking. And the description of each of these settings is over here to the right. As you can see, a brief description of just about everything you can see here. For instance, by default, in order to enable this mod, it is the plus sign. This is key.oem plus. OEM plus is the key for plus sign. And then here you've got B, you've got F12. You can change it to just about anything that you would like. I myself like to have P as the key that toggles this on and off. I have P reserved specifically for this mod, and I think it works out really nicely. If you guys want something different, by all means, go ahead and update that. If you want the default, just leave it alone. It's just a setting that you can tweak for this mod. We also have enabled state save, which enables saving the camera state to a file for persistent toggling. So if you do have this on, basically the game is going to remember what settings you had and keep those active when you load your game. So for instance, if I have the third person toggled on, it will remember that it's on when I load my save. Okay. It's on by default, but you can turn it off so the game always starts without it toggled on and things like that. I would just leave this alone for now, but if any of you are interested, you can change it. The next up, we have these offsets. And remember when I was demoing and I showed the zoomed in third person and the zoomed out third person and how one of them was aligned in the center mass of my armor and was set right in the place that I liked, and it was great. That was these offsets. And I didn't change anything. This is the default for the offsets. So that works out really well with the zoomed out third person for me, to my likings. But if you guys do want to change any of this, you 100% can come in here and start changing these numbers. And you can see that the positive numbers are forward and backward, or left and right, or up and down. Again, everything on the right is going to be a very good description of what these values can do when you change them. I would maybe recommend just play with this for a little bit without tweaking these until you've gotten a little more comfortable and then start going in and trying to tweak them. I do think that the zoomed out third person is very nice, and I think it will probably get most people by without having to change anything. But if you do feel the need to maybe move the camera forward or backwards and all that, go ahead and go in here. But one thing I do want to note, for all of these things that you can change that have a positive value and a negative value, you do not want to do a +1 or a plus whatever. Do not include the plus sign. That's super important. A lot of people were breaking this mod by including the plus. 100% do not include the plus sign. This is going to pick up the raw value, and the plus sign is going to screw with the logic, basically. So just keep in mind that you do want to use a negative sign for negative numbers, but do not use a plus sign for positive numbers at all. Just leave it as whatever the number is. If you want to make it 10, make it a 10, but do not include a plus sign in the front. Last warning. Okay, now this right here is the detail offset config. Now I don't 100% know what these are, so I'm not going to speak to them right now. I have not changed these at all. I may in the future try to go about changing these things. It looks like sitting, crouch, and writing, it can move forward or backward based off these. The writing offset of 5 seems fine. I was riding the horse and it felt totally fine as a 5. I could change it and maybe what have you, it could be better, but I'm just going to leave it at 5 for now. It seems fine at the moment. Okay, and then we have over here the hiding config. So you have the option to hide your head, hide hair, hide helmet, hide quiver, and one thing to really note is this is not the shadows that are visible when you're in first person. Draw hidden shadow, shadow head Z offset. I don't think you really need to tweak this at all, but if you do, by all means, go ahead and give it a shot. But essentially what these are going to do is not hide the shadows, but instead they hide your actual head from the third person or first person camera. So essentially, if you have any of these set to false, you will run the risk of seeing the inside of your own head, or your hair will dangle in front of you, or you will be viewing the camera from inside your helmet. Now, by default, these are all set to true, meaning they will be hidden. But if you think it's more immersive to be able to see your own hair and your own helmet when you have them on, by all means switch these to false, and you will then be able to see your own hair and your own helmet while in third person. But I do caution you ever so slightly about this. They will get in the way of your view, and they will obstruct you from normal gameplay, so just keep that in mind. There is a reason that they're set to true by default, but 100% you should experiment with this and see what's your liking. Okay. Then we have over here, we have a Freelook config. So there's this V key where you can hit the V and you will go into a free look, and it can be toggled, or if you have this set to false, you'll have to hold the V key, and that will get you a free camera basically, which is pretty nice, pretty helpful. I personally have not really messed with these, but you know, it's good. And I think these are also some other things you can tweak with yourself. I'm not going to mess with any of this Freelook stuff whatsoever right now. But there's also this next setting is the field of vision. And I know a lot of people out there really like having their field of vision turned up quite a bit. You can go ahead and set these to different values to change your field of vision, and this allow custom allows this value to be read instead. So just keep that in mind. This needs to be true in order for this to get read. If you have it set to false, it will not be. Okay. Show head shadow mesh. Setting this true can help tweaking the head shadow position, so we can adjust some things. But it's set to false. Leave this at false. I think this was a very useful debugging tool for the mod author, but you do not want to have this enabled at all for yourself. Just leave this one alone. You can, of course, tweak it to your heart's content, but I do caution you, your experience may vary depending on setting this thing up. Again, caution here, only change this if you know what you're doing. Okay. With all of that out of the way, guys, that is the configurations for this mod. And I do want to real quick reinforce one thing I said earlier. For all of these values that have numbers, do not, I repeat, do not include a plus sign. A plus sign will break your game. Do not include it. Please, please, please do not include a plus sign. Just leave it as a positive number or set it with a minus in front of it for a negative number. Okay, that was my last warning about that. And I think we have covered the custom settings here. Go ahead and tweak these to your heart's content and then save the file once you are done. And that is it. Make sure that you're editing the one that's actually in your game and not the one that you have downloaded prior to going in there. If you do think you're going to remove this mod at some point and put it on for other playthroughs, I do recommend actually editing this main.lua over here. That way, when you eventually copy this mod back over, it has all of your custom settings. You can do that as well. Okay, that is everything I have covering the installation of this mod. I hope that although this could be a bit more complicated than several mods that you've seen in the past, especially ones that I have covered, that this was not as scary as it initially appeared. Keep an eye out for updates as well, and I will do the same. And if I see major changes to this mod, I am gonna make a new video for this, I think. But until then, hopefully this will subside as a good video, and hopefully nobody got lost along the way. If any of you did get lost along the way or got confused by anything that I covered here, let me know in the comments down below, and hopefully I'll be able to help debug your situation, even all the way over here from my machine. Alright guys, with all that out of the way, happy modding and happy Mondays. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video all the way through to the end. I really appreciate it, and I hope it was very helpful showcasing this mod and showing how to install it. I'm really hoping that we can get this channel growing so that we can show as many people as possible how easy it is to install some mods and showcase some really good mods that some hardworking people come up with. In order to do that though, I'm really going to need you guys' help. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with as many people as you can. We'll try to get this channel growing, and hopefully it helps as many people as possible. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time.